This is the GPL Podcast from GopherPuckLive.com. This podcast is sponsored by Jerry Peters and First Class Mortgage. Our expertise, your peace of mind. Visit us at firstclassmortgage.com. Now, here's Jupe and Vigo. Good evening and welcome to the GPL Podcast, episode number 219. Well, good evening, Vigs. How you doing tonight?
Good evening. I'm back in the rink like 6 days a week here right now. It's feeling like hockey season, and we got off to a good start with a Gopher sweep.
We did, and of course, it's the first episode of the season. We always tend to not have a guest, so it's time to bring in a guest, and it's one of our favorite guests, the one and only Pat Micheletti. Pat, thank you for joining us again. How are you doing tonight? Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Say something, Pat. We heard you a second ago. You can't hear us? Interesting
start. Kind of like the Gopher penalty kill, not hitting on all cylinders right away.
Are you on mute, Pat? Restart.
We'll come back to him.
We'll see what happens there. I'm not sure what happened to Pat there. We were just talking before you came. Maybe you broke it, Pat. Yeah. Let's try again. Are you there? No. Oh.
Looking good, though.
Yeah, he's looking
That's
good.
Looking good.
Hold on. I'm going to text him real quick. You talk about Lindenwood, Vigs.
All right.
No pressure.
Well, Lindenwood, I think we saw in the first game kind of a opening night for the Gophers that we were expecting. You know, a lot of skill, a lot of offense. I think we saw Minnesota's offense start to click a little bit here. We saw the speed. We saw the passing. We saw some freshmen who really like to shoot the puck. But we also saw some issues with shots getting blocked. And that's kind of been an issue sometimes for the Gophers at the start of the season. You know, it's kind of a broken record. It's like once you really get going into real games, there can be issues because the defense all of a sudden wants to block shots. And so the shooters have to maybe change their angle a little bit. They have to pass quicker and be making quicker decisions. And maybe we saw some of that throughout the weekend, but it definitely wasn't there at the drop of the puck.
Yeah, it was a little goofy. Okay, now we're going to try Pat one more time now. Are you there, Pat? There we go.
Viggs, Viggs, did you not want me or what? You could have just told me.
We added Viggs and then we couldn't hear Pat.
No, I'm super excited to have you on.
It's great to see you.
It's great to see you. It was great to see you in the rink.
Yeah.
At Mariachi too. We didn't get to chat very much.
No.
Very busy game.
It was busy.
It was busy. It was kind of fun to be back in the rink.
I was yapping.
See, that's what it always is. It's always fun to just be back at the rink.
Yes. So much fun.
I remember being a ticket holder. You go there, you get a couple walk-arounds in, you see people you haven't seen in a year.
Right.
So
I was so excited to get there to see all these young kids play. And I wasn't disappointed.
I would say I wasn't either. I mean, boy, that Cooley kid can. They're going to have to concentrate on him because if you don't, he's going to kill you, Pat.
I typically, when I look at teams, I typically don't even want to analyze a lot of them for 3 months. And, in this team, especially for me, because when I counted 9 guys and without the goalies, 9 players, position players, in the lineup, both nights, 8 on Friday, 9 on set or whatever it was. And I'm like, I look on paper and I say, this might be his most talented team that he's had in his tenure. But then I back up and I say, okay, they're really, really young. They're going to take their lumps. They're going to have to learn how to play in tough situations. And then I say to myself, well, wait, a lot of these guys were playing in high level situations. The pressure won't get to them. So the only difference I really see is, the pounding from some of the heavier teams, some of the older teams, the mature teams, night in, night out, that sort of thing. So I, to a certain extent, I'm reserving judgment. But man, oh man, it's an awfully talented group.
I can't disagree with that. I heard saw a couple questions in the chat area. Let's get your thoughts on this, Vigs. Thoughts on both goalies? Close. Yes, he had a shutout, but I really don't think Lindenwood was really. They didn't put much together on Friday night compared to Saturday night when Bartoszewicz played.
Yeah, I think the big difference between the two goalies was that Bartoszewicz had to see Lindenwood's power play a little bit more frequently, and I felt like the Gopher penalty kill wasn't as sharp as they needed to be, and there was some traffic and there's some screens that Bartoszewicz had to deal with that Closer didn't. Closer did his job. As we saw down the stretch last year, he is a very calm, steady goalie who makes the saves you expect him to make. And he did that very much so on Saturday. I think it was a much tougher game for the goalie on Sunday night. And welcome to big-time college hockey playing for the Gophers, where you're going to have to be on the toes of your skates as a goalie to make those saves and to come up big when you're shorthanded. And, it's a good introduction for him to see what it's like to play at Mariucci Arena.
Ultimately for me, guys, you look at Minnesota's decor and there's no question it is the best in the country. Now, so I think a lot of the goaltending will be predicated on how well their D play, how well their forwards come back. I think at times they got a little loose Saturday night and, and whatever, maybe thinking, again, one of those situations where, okay, let's put the hammer down, but they didn't, and they kind of backed up a little bit. So, that may be part of it. But the interesting thing is I talked to Closer after a Saturday before the game, and I'm like, he's got some food and he's eating. And I said, obviously you're not playing tonight. He said, no, I'm not. And I asked him, how difficult was it? Because I think there was a stretch where Minnesota outshot him 15-3 or something like that. And he said, I really have to find a way to keep myself in the game. And, because I don't know how good. I mean, goalies are weird, right? They're just weird. But I was really interested to see how he would handle it.
Now, Pat, one thing I noticed, on the broadcast, at least on Sunday, was you really want Brodzinski to shoot more.
Mm-hmm.
And he had quite a few times where he should have taken the shot instead of trying to make that extra play. Because as we've seen kind of over the years, he's not as much. He's a playmaker, but he's not as much. But really, he needs to go to his forte, which is his shot. And he was giving up some, and you sounded a little frustrated on that.
Well, it's very interesting because after the game, right? I mean, literally after the game, I get off the broadcast and I'm going to my car and I go down the steps and entering the hallway. And lo and behold, what family is right there? The Brodzinski family. And Mike and I, and it go back a long way. And then there he is, up talking to his parents. And his dad grabs him and he says, see this guy? He had blah, 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 blah. Will you shoot the damn puck? And then I said to him, I said that about 100 times on the air. And And listen, I'm not trying to coach him and whatever, but I know the kid's got a heavy shot. I know he knows how to score. I reminded him of his family and everyone in his family, other than Mike, the defenseman, Michael, the two at St. Cloud were snipers, and he is a sniper. His father was a sniper. They know how to shoot the puck. And I just think that he could really help this team by being a go-to guy. And he came over the blue line, and he's looking to make a play. And you get to the top of the circle, and you're a goal scorer. You got to be thinking, be selfish and shoot the puck. And I hope he does that more.
Isn't that what Connor Kurth did Sunday, Viggs? He just came right in the zone and.
That's what Connor Kurth did. That's what Brody Lamb did. That's what Strobel did. That's what Snuggerud did. And I asked this about Bob today. I said, hey, you've got a group of freshmen that's not deferring out there. When they have chances to shoot the puck, they're letting it go and they're getting it on net and there's something on it. And he goes, that's right. This is a good, confident group and their experience. This isn't a group that just went from high school to college and was deferring to guys they had seen on TV. This is a group of guys that played 2 years of juniors. They played with a development team. They played in international tournaments. They may not be older, but they are definitely a more experienced freshman group, and it shows.
Yep. Let me ask you this, guys. I'm going to bring it back to Friday night. And this is something I have not seen in probably 10, maybe 15 years. A guy go down the right wing, right, and take a slap shot. You know who I'm talking about? Snuggerud. Came down the right side, and I'm like, he took the slap shot, and that hasn't happened. I can't recall in college hockey. And we've all watched a lot of college hockey.
Yeah.
When can you? I said, "Geez, was that Mike Bossy coming down the right side?" Because you don't see that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Viggs, getting back to Brodzinski, and I feel that if he does start to shoot more and use his skills, he could really take this team to the next level. I mean, he could be a really key part along with his senior leadership, couldn't he?
I mean, the spot's there for him. Bob wants his returning veteran guys to fill these roles and fulfill their potential. We've kind of seen them show flashes, but Bob is looking for these guys to be consistent and consistently do what they do well. And for Brodzinski, it's definitely shooting the puck. He's got chances on the off wing. He's got chances on the power play now. I think he's playing with guys who distribute the puck a little bit, so he'll have those opportunities. He's keeping up with his line mates right now. They seem to be a little more cohesive as a unit of forwards. So the opportunity's there for him. And for this team to do well, they need those returning players to have their best season.
And what worries me a little bit, and this is really, it's really important in my mind, is that, we don't know what the lines are going to be. They may change a little bit here and there, tweak here and there, but you got to be able, you have to be able to trust your line mates. Your line mates have to trust you. And what I mean by that is, I played with pretty much a lot of the, give or take a guy here, a guy there, but they knew what their role was on the line. Okay. And guys got to know, because sometimes, you feel like, oh, geez, should I shoot or, maybe I should pass it, just to be a good guy. And you can't have that mentality. You got to know that, we got to get the puck to this guy. This guy's, he's our shooter. They all can shoot it. I get it. But, you just have to have an understanding amongst your line mates. If your line is going to be successful, and then if your line is successful, your team is going to be successful. So I think it's really important. And, listen, we're only into 2 games, and so, you got to, that stuff will take care of itself.
Viggs, one thing you were reporting today is when the team was, down by a goal or tied this weekend, with Lindenwood, a vocal person on the bench was letting them know we need to get things going. And that's maybe a presence we hadn't seen the last few years.
Yeah, I feel like some of the leaders for Minnesota who have worn the C haven't always been that vocal guy. It's been a guy who wants to lead by example, set the tone and show guys the way. I think with Brock Faber, you have a guy who's been a defenseman who's worn the letter for national teams, has been a leader in the rooms for all these groups, and he's confident enough now where he's going to be the voice on the bench. And you want that as a team, good teams, the coaches lead, great teams, the players lead. Well, and I think Brock has that opportunity this year by coming back for this extra year of college hockey. He could be a pro right now, but he's getting that opportunity to be a leader and be a producer right now for the Gophers.
It's really interesting. He's one of the most mature kids I've ever been around in college hockey, bar none. One of the most mature. And I think he's learned. I think he's listened. I think he's watched how other leaders lead. And you know what? We're just because you have a letter, half the people who wear a letter don't know what the hell it's for. They don't. I mean, I'm a captain. Okay, I'm a captain. Well, what do I do with it? How do I be? How am I a good captain? And that's being tough, and that's being that guy you go to and pat him on the back. But there's times you got to be tough, and there's it's just some guys aren't good captains, because they don't know how to be a good captain. And sometimes guys are going to get ticked off at you. Sometimes guys are going to come and really seek your advice, and you got to be all sorts of things. And I think he's the perfect guy to lead this team.
I gotta say, I agree. Pat, what are you looking forward to the most about this team this year? I mean, we've obviously got a lot of youth, a lot of superstars kind of came in. We've got some guys that came back that are superstars. What are you looking most forward to seeing or happening this year?
Well, for me, it's the growth. It really is the growth of and I'm not going to say it scares me. But if there was one concern, and it would be their youth. And even though Vig mentioned it, they, the one difference is a lot of these guys have that experience of playing, at a higher level against better competition, all those been in the tough spots, all that. But again, college is a different animal. It is a real different animal. And they're going to find out this weekend when they play Minnesota State. You look on paper, if the game was played on paper, Minnesota wins easily both nights. That's not the way college hockey works. We know that. Does. You know what? Minnesota State's going to be in their face. They're going to be hitting them. And so it's going to be a good experience for them and should help them grow up faster because they'll say, okay, this is what it's like. This is how I got to play. And so I think it's really good timing that they're playing these guys right now because they'll pick that up in a hurry. But listen, it's all about what forwards are really gonna step up and say
gel together too. Yeah,
I want it.
Yeah.
Give me the puck. I want to be. Listen, Bob. And they haven't even begun to mold their team yet. Bob played 3 power plays on Friday night. 3. Guess what? That's going to be down to 2. Then it's going to be trying to get that first unit out as much as you can. You've got 9 defensemen. 7 dress. I mean, is he going to play 5 at some point? Is he going to play 4 at some point? The guy's fighting for minutes. I love that internal competition. But then you have to answer this question. How are those guys that aren't on the first power play that think they should be on the first power play? How are they going to handle that a different role? Okay. So those are the things that all.
Well, it's all about that growth, just like you said.
It's all about that growth.
Maturing. It's everything.
And it's all about how you become a team.
Mm-hmm.
And do you put that ego and put it aside and say, I'm going to do whatever it takes for us to win a national championship.
All right, we got a question from MG here. Need Pat's thoughts on Strobel. Loved him on Sunday.
Love him. Love him.
There you go.
Love him. Love him. Because you know what? He knows, he knows his role. He knows he's not Mr. Flashy. He knows he's got to go out and bang. He knows he's got to protect guys. And he is your perfect fourth liner. And he's a great kid. And he's an energy kid. And he can skate. And you know what? He knows he doesn't have to score goals. He doesn't have, and I think he's going to be a kid to keep an eye on all year, because he's going to be that energy guy that is really going to be needed when push comes to shove. So, hey, I'm a big fan of his. I'm a really big fan.
While we're here, Viggs, your thoughts on Strobel? Did you get a chance to view the game? I know you were a little out with the kids and stuff Sunday.
I was able to view the game. I was one of those people who was counting on the Big Ten plus stream. But I did sign up for the 7-day Bally free trial to get the experience of the Bally streaming, so I was able to watch the game. And I agree with Pat. I really like Strobel's energy of the game. You don't need everybody to be a top 6 scorer type, but the guys who are lower in the lineup who might get less ice time need to find a way to impact the game as well. And I thought that Sunday game got a little more physical, and Nyes recognized it. And he started being physical, and Strobel recognized it. And he started being a little bit more physical. And you need players like that, because I think that gives you energy on the bench to say, oh, yeah, we got some guys who can knock too. If that's the game you want to play, they'll do that, and they'll take care of that, and they'll send the messages. And then we'll send out Cooley, Snuggerud, and Pitlick, and they'll score some goals, and we'll go on the power play. So you got to have that mix.
I remember talking to Strobel right when he committed to Minnesota. It was right after the state tournament. I think he had a great state tournament. And you know what? He was so happy to become a Gopher. Knew it was going to take a couple of years, but he was so happy. And, and then I saw him for the first time in 3 years or whatever, and down in the locker room, and he had a grin from ear to ear, like, I can't believe I'm in this room, and I love that. I love, because he embraces it. He embraces what it means to put on the M and be a Gopher. And I freaking love it.
Love to hear that, Pat. Love to hear that. Well, before we get into Minnesota State, which is going to be, I'm excited for the series, we need to hear from our sponsor.
Hey, Gopher hockey fans. Jerry Peters here with First Class Mortgage. Mortgage rates have gone up in 2022. We've seen it on the news all year long, and many first-time home buyers are asking themselves, can I still afford to buy a home? My question is, can you still afford to rent? The Department of Housing and Urban Development recently came out with their American Home Ownership Survey. It shows that the median renter now pays almost the identical monthly payment as the median homeowner. In fact, over the past 2 years, the national median monthly payment for homeowners has gone up 5.5%, while at the same time it's gone up 10.6% for renters. What does all this mean? It means it's still a really good time to buy a house. And if you're in the market, let me help. My telephone number is 612-940-3291. My email address is jerry@firstclasscorp.com, or go to firstclassmortgage.com and fill out a free online application. Mention you heard about me on the GPL Podcast and receive a $500 closing cost credit. Some restrictions do apply. My NMLS number is 480200. First Class Mortgages is 322842. This is not an agreement to lock into an interest rate under Minnesota law. First Class Mortgage is an equal housing lender.
All right. Thank you, Jerry, for sponsoring the GPL podcast. I'm going to throw this question out here by Tom Michael. I like it. What series this year will be the good measuring stick to see whether they have something special? And no, not jumping off the bandwagon no matter what. Well, glad you're not jumping off the bandwagon there, Tom. But Vigs, I mean, you could say this weekend's a good measuring stick, but it is still very early in the season.
I think it's going to be hard to take too much away from the next 2 weekends as much as we want to. For people who follow this program, Minnesota State and North Dakota are measuring sticks for Minnesota because of the way they've performed in the playoffs the last couple of years. But I think you're not going to know everything about this team until, probably a month or two in. I even think the Notre Dame series might be too soon to tell, just because even Bob today was saying we're still getting our systems in.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough when you're playing against a team like Minnesota State and you're still working on your forecheck, your back check, your power play, your penalty kill, and you're introducing that to 11 new players, 9 new skaters. That's challenging. So I think it's going to be tough to measure it until probably after, even after World Juniors, sometime in January or February with this team.
And there's Breber just suggested the same thing. Maybe St. Cloud in January.
Again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. I'm not going to really judge this team until January, mid-January, when you get into the thick of the Big Ten schedule, when games are really, really on the line. Yes, we want to say this weekend. We want to say the North Dakota weekend, but in reality, this is you're going to see a completely different team in 2.5 months. You will, and that's when we see most teams. You get to that point where okay, your lineup, your systems, your attitude, where you are compared to some of the other teams in the league. Are you gonna go up, or are you gonna go down? And I think that all happens, beginning of January.
But just glancing at the schedule, I see that road Notre Dame series after World Juniors mid-January. That's your perfect measuring stick, because I think Notre Dame's probably the biggest challenge right now for the Big Ten.
Number two in Pat's power rankings.
Ooh. But I was going to say here, Vigs, it might not be a measuring stick, but at the end of the season, wins against Minnesota State and North Dakota can be really big when it comes down to number one seeds and just that whole thing. It's like every game counts when it comes to putting the tournament together at the end of the year.
Well, I'm not saying these games don't count. I know the fans want the wins.
You don't want
those in-state games are huge to everyone. Their record has not been good in state the last 5-10 years. And I think Minnesota fans are sick and tired of that. I think the shining silver lining for the Gophers right now is their defensive core is so strong that I think they'll be in good shape the next 2 weekends. You're not going to see this team get under siege for very long. There might be moments, but these defensemen are solid enough at shutting down plays and getting the puck back that they'll be able to escape pressure, I think. Not easily, but it won't be an issue.
Now, Pat, the one thing I know, well, you love to promote the Minnesota schools, and it keeps growing. Obviously, we just got St. Thomas, but we also need Minnesota to do well. In the last 10 games, Minnesota is 2-8 versus Minnesota State. Their last win, November of 2016, a 1-0 victory. So it's been a while since they have beaten Minnesota State.
Yeah, it's not going to get any easier this weekend. You're going to face one ornery team. They got thumped. Now, granted, it was an exhibition game, all that in Omaha last weekend. They will be a different team this weekend. And they return the majority of their decor. They've got some guys up. They're going to miss Nathan Smith. I mean, he was the guy last year. It certainly wasn't all him, but he was a big part of that offensive engine. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be you're going to play in front of a raucous crowd there. It's nice to get them here Friday night on the big sheet, and maybe you can expose them a little bit. But listen, Mike Hastings will he understands. He knows all these players, that Minnesota has. He's talked about the decor. He knows how good they are. And so he's a very, very, very good coach, and he'll devise some system to try to shut Minnesota down. So it'll be interesting to see which team cracks. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Viggs, they also don't have a Hobie Baker winner who probably should have won the last two Hobies, really. I mean, back there with his numbers, and Dryden McKay. The defense, yes, they're still good, but it's always something good to have in your head when you got a guy like that behind you.
I think it helps, and now they have a goalie who hasn't played a lot of games. And I've talked to a lot of people who evaluate goalies over the years, and they say as much talent as that goaltender has, for them to develop their game, they need to play. They need to have the experience of giving up a big goal and having a crowd on them, or having their team count on them to make big saves. And if you haven't done that in a while, it can be a shock to the system, and the brain can get a little nervous, and all of a sudden the glove and the reactions don't work quite as well, and you don't play up to your potential. So I think that'll be a big change for Minnesota State. I think the big advantage the Mavericks have is they return 3 centermen who are very experienced, and Minnesota is replacing a bunch of centermen. And I think that'll be a big thing to watch this weekend, is matchups on the dot for draws, as well as coverage down around the net. Can Minnesota create odd man situations at the Mavericks net to test the goalie? And can the Mavericks give closer some traffic in front of him, fighting against the Pino and the Coolies in front of the net? So I think that's something I'll be watching for this weekend.
Here's my take, guys. And it's happened the last 2 years. Minnesota State is a team that can absolutely lull you to sleep. They can make you play the type of game they want to play. They like to look at the clock and have it go down, 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 and nothing happen in the game. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Oh, they get a goal, and then they watch the clock go down, down, down. The big
it's like they're rope-a-dope in boxing. They just kind of sit.
They're very structured.
Boom.
They're very structured. They don't give up a lot of shots.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I had this conversation with a coach at Denver, and he said to me, we got them out of their game. We got them. We made them feel uncomfortable in the third period. And once you make a team feel uncomfortable, well, then not that panic sets in, but, they start to cheat a little. They start to, do things that they're not accustomed. They get out of their rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And Harvard started to do that to them in the regional last year, but it was too little too late. If Harvard had 10 more minutes, I think they beat Minnesota State. But if you don't do something to get them off of their game, off of their system, they'll beat you all night, because they don't give up a lot of shots. They clear out the front of the net very well. And so you've got to make them feel uncomfortable, in my opinion.
And let me tell you, folks, they lost 7-2 to Omaha in an exhibition, and it means zilch.
Right.
I don't think anybody should read into that at all. It's just
no.
Kids warmed up. It doesn't mean anything.
No, not at all. They'll be ready to play.
The crazy thing about that game against Denver was in the third period, all of a sudden Minnesota State started having trouble with simple plays. Simple breakout, receive the puck, chip the puck. All of a sudden they started fumbling the puck a little bit, and their chip wasn't clean out of the zone, or that player coming into the neutral zone to get the puck deep wasn't getting it deep.
But why, Viggs? Why?
Pressure.
Thank you.
Pressure. Denver was able to apply pressure.
You get on somebody. You don't give them time and space. You don't you don't block a guy for, you know what I mean? If you don't feel comfortable, if you feel rushed, if you feel panicked, you will give up the puck. And that's what Denver made him do. And then Denver started moving the puck around, and then they stopped moving their feet, and they take over the game.
I think Bob brought this up Saturday night when talking about his defensive core. As talented as they are, sometimes they want to be perfect. They want to make the perfect retrieval. They want to pick the perfect pass on the breakout. They want to wait for everyone to regroup. And he said, you know what? Sometimes we just got to go.
Yep.
And make it up on the fly, and we'll do the best we can. Because if you wait too long, you have now given the other team time to get in structure. And so I think one of the things that Denver did.
Bob wants to get that puck and go. And
get it and go.
He wants it north to south, get in, go to work. And that's why, again, he says, that's what I want to do. We haven't implemented anything yet to get that going. And, I just wanted the guys to get out there this weekend, get used to it, play their first game, whatever the case may be. And so as much as he, this is correctable, that's correctable, it's like, got to let him play that first weekend. And I think that's, they accomplished a lot.
Well, let's get into the specifics, Viggs. What does Minnesota need to do to win this weekend, or, split or something like that? And what does Minnesota State need to do?
Well, I think from the Gopher side, no bad penalties. We saw on Sunday that the penalty kill isn't quite sharp yet, and we saw players taking maybe not so great penalties. So I think if they want to win this weekend, they've got to clean that up. Don't show that weakness against Minnesota State, because I think Minnesota State has enough people coming back where they could give Minnesota some real problems there that they don't need to. I think that's the first thing for me. And then another thing is the defensemen have to go. As Pat's just saying here, make decisions quickly. Put some pressure on Minnesota State. Don't wait for everything to be perfect, because it's not going to be perfect.
Keep them on their
systems aren't in.
Yeah.
The players are all new. Everybody's kind of gelling. Bob's talked about how every day the defensemen are playing with different partners, because he wants to play all 7D when he dresses 7. It's not a situation where you play 6 and you got the extra 7th. No. All 7 are playing. They're playing with different guys every shift, and they just got to go out and execute.
Well, here's my key for the weekend, guys. Here's my key. My key is for them, if they reach 30 shots on goal, 30 shots on goal, they win. Anything under 30, they will not win. If they get 30 goals, that means they're putting pressure on. They're getting shots to the net, and they're following them up. Minnesota State does not give up a lot of shots. They keep you to the outside, and it's very, very difficult to get to the net. The shots going on net, they'll be able to get there better. So you can't be cute against them. You got to be north-south, and you've got to get pucks on net, and you have to get to the net. If they get 30 shots each night, they win both nights.
One thing that did hurt him again this weekend, this past weekend, Viggs, was block shots. Boy, a lot of times you just got to take one step, east-west to look for that opening.
Look when they scored.
That's true.
Connor Kurth goes from his left, moves about a foot and a half right, lets it go. Brody Lamb, same thing. Came over the blue line, moved a little bit, boom.
Mike Hesser, Brock Faber, same thing. Just slight adjustments, waiting for traffic to clear, waiting for the screen to get in the way.
Yep.
Critical difference.
Yep.
But Lindenwood did sell out. Didn't they have over close to 30 blocks on Sunday?
35.
Wow.
Minnesota had 96 shot attempts on Saturday.
And And quite frankly, Viggs, last 10 years, Minnesota has been victimized by that type of play for a long, for forever. It seems like they just haven't been able to get that shot from the point through and things like that off a shin or whatever.
It's been weird. As much talent as they've had on the blue line,
Yes.
they haven't had great shooters back there, which is strange to me. That they have people who they kind of get mechanical and they're receiving the puck, walking the blue line, and they're kind of walking right into the shooter rather than catching the puck, seeing where the shot blocker is, and then making a play. You know, you gotta react to what's out there instead of just going through the mechanics of a drill. And I think guys like Mike Kester did a nice job of getting pucks to the net. Ryan Chesley, I think, does a nice job of getting pucks to the net. I think some of these other guys, you know, they're still getting more comfortable. Brock Faber, his ice time came up today and talking with Bob and how with all these guys on defense, you're not going to be playing 30 minutes a night. You know, we really needed that last year, but this year that's not going to happen. And Brock's retort was like, well, how much less? He's like, no, you know, you're still going to play a lot, but a little bit less. And so he plays a little bit less on the weekend and his points went up. He was able to produce a little bit more.
Can I quiz you guys on something? I got a question for you.
Multiple choice.
Nope. Well, not really, but how many of the defensemen from the point took a slap shot last weekend?
None.
Did Chesley get one off?
Go ahead, Viggs. What?
Did Chesley get one off? Ryan Chesley?
Then I'd have to tell you the answer. So
that's my guess because I've seen him shoot slap shots quite frequently.
Zero.
All right.
Zero. And a point of contention with Bob. I'm in there, you know, before the game, we're talking and he wants his defenseman to hammer the puck.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't see that anymore. And yes, that wrister works because you want to get it through and there's a lot of traffic. But sometimes, guys, even if you don't get it through, if you wind up and take that and hammer that puck and you hit a guy who's blocking it, his thought process may be, you know what? Maybe next time I don't want to get in front of it. That's what opens up space for you. And, you know, and it doesn't have to be to score every time. It is to open things up. It is to, you know, give those guys a little different thinking. All right. Mm-hmm. And so I know Bob's been harping on him. You get it back there once, you got to hammer it. And it doesn't happen enough. And when that doesn't happen, you know, you as a defender, you know, so you can go out and try to block it, or you can get in the way, or you can, you know, pack things in because it's not going to be coming at the velocity that, you know, a guy hammering it from there does. So, you know, I think they're talking to the guys about that. And like I said, doesn't have to be all the time, but once in a while, you got to let her fly.
Well, like they did on the transition. I mean, we hadn't seen that
right
in recent, really, college hockey for Minnesota, or at least around here. I mean, somebody just, instead of trying to go all the way to the net, they saw an opening, bam, shoot the puck.
Yep.
I had an old friend who is a Marine, and he said sometimes the artillery just fires for effect.
Mm-hmm.
You're just sending a message to the enemy.
Thank you.
You can bring it.
Great analogy.
Go hide in your foxhole.
Yep. Exactly.
We may or may not be following it up really quickly.
You know, it was funny. Reed Larson, former Gopher great, Detroit Red Wing. No one shot the puck harder than Reed. And I will tell you, there was a game I played against him in Italy. And I saw it was him at the point. And he brought that stick up. And I said, no, thank you. Ole. And I got out of the way. You know, later he started laughing at me. I said, well, I'm not going to get hit by that thing. But no, you know, to your point, you know, you don't want to take a hard slap shot off the ankle. I mean, you don't. And so you have to do that. It's all part of, the psychological part of the game, that sometimes guys don't think about.
Yeah. All right, Viggs, let's hear your prediction on the weekend. Home and home. Friday at Mariucci. Saturday at, I can't remember.
The Mayo Center.
Yes. They've changed like 3 or 4 times. I can't.
Yep.
It's still the Civic Center to me, the Mankato Civic Center. What do you think, Viggs?
I think we're going to see a split. I think the home teams are going to win these games. I think Minnesota's just got too many moving pieces right now to withstand the fire of a road game against Minnesota State and come out with a sweep. Although we did hear Brock Faber say the word sweep on Sunday night in the post game, which was interesting. It shows you where his mindset is. He knows that Minnesota State's ended his year 2 years in a row, so he's got a little extra motivation this weekend, and he's going to be vocally trying to get that sweep to happen. But I will be surprised if it does. I could see a situation where Minnesota maybe takes a couple penalties in that environment and puts them shorthanded on the road. And, the Mavs will be ready to play the Gophers, as every in-state team always is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Pat, what are your predictions on the weekend?
Well, I think it's going to be a split. I take what Minnesota State did last weekend and throw it away. They will be ready to play. They're still an older team, a mature team, a grizzled team. This is a very, very youthful squad that Minnesota has, more talented. But I think I think Minnesota wins at home, and I think the Mavs win at home also. I think it's going to be a great series. So let's enjoy it.
Mavs are the 15th oldest team in the country this year. Gophers second youngest.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of difference there.
But guess what? They don't care. Gophers don't care. No excuses. You go out and play hard. I love Faber's attitude that, you don't go to accept anything. You go to win. And both teams are going to try to win. Both teams have a lot of pride. Both teams think they're really good. And we're going to have a hell of a series. And we might see them again in April. How's that?
Well, I'm going with 2 5-3 victories by Minnesota. Empty net goal each night. Minnesota's going to sweep. I'm just going with it. I'm on the bandwagon.
That's a lot of goals. That's a lot of goals in this series.
It is going to be a lot of goals. Mankato's not going to know what hit them.
Well,
I think if Minnesota gets 30 shots, they get 4 goals.
Then you're thinking to my why I think Minnesota could win if they get 30 shots. That means they're going to get 30 shots, right? Each night.
I already see. Oh, jeez. Tim Hapke, can't wait for the GPL meltdown of the Gophers don't sweep. No meltdowns. I'm trying to bring the positivity.
Too early for meltdowns.
Oh, you know Gopher fans, though. I mean, people were freaking out when Lindenwood just scored a goal Sunday.
High expectations.
Well, and that's why players come to Minnesota. That's why Logan Cooley came to Minnesota. He is not your typical Minnesota recruit. He said, I want to come to a place that's great for my development and a chance to win a national championship.
Yep.
And that's the same reason Cole Iserman's coming to Minnesota too, is it's the best place for his development and a best place to win a national championship as a young player.
A Boston kid coming to play for Minnesota, Pat. Wow.
Yeah, that's a great get. That's great recruiting. And, that it's years and years of history about the program. And, good for him. Good. I'm really happy for the kid.
While we still have you here, Pat.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Wisconsin? What is happening over there?
I talked to Tony Granato, I want to say a week and a half ago. And you know what? He's very calm in his demeanor. He thinks they're going to be better. He knows their specialty teams have to be markedly better. And, he knew that they were in for a rough ride last year when they lose Holloway, when they lose Caulfield. You go from the best power play in college hockey to the worst. You had guys on the power play last year that never had played the power play. I think at the end of the year, they found their mojo a little bit. They almost beat Notre Dame, in the playoffs, took them to 3 games. And so, I think parts of their game, I think they still lack a lot of depth. I think their D-core is still an issue. I think Jared Moe has been fine in the nets for them. And so I really don't know where to put Wisconsin this year. I have them in Pat's Power Rankings, which will be coming out this week. I have them at number 6 in finishing 6th in the league, with the caveat that they could jump Penn State. Okay. I don't think they'll be a top 4 team, but I think they'll have enough, to surprise some people.
All I care about Vigs this year is that they put another 8-0 drubbing on them.
It could happen again. I think there's a big discrepancy between the top 4 teams in the Big Ten this year and the bottom 3. I think there's just a big talent difference right now.
The top 4 teams are
Minnesota, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan.
Wait, say that again.
Minnesota, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan. In that order.
Did you steal my notes the other night?
No, actually, he mentioned this last week too when he was talking about it.
Did you? You did. You went and stole my notes, huh?
I did while you were talking to everybody at the rink. I just snuck up in the radio booth and grabbed your
peek of Pat's Power Rankings.
Or maybe you guys are just good hockey minds?
No, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. What do you think, Veeks? No, you're right. I have Michigan 4. I have Penn State 5, Wisconsin 6, Michigan State 7.
Michigan State. We need Michigan State to get healthy again. It just, I hope they can do it.
Do you know how close I was to putting Notre Dame 1?
Ooh.
Listen, they're going to be awfully tough. They're going to be
good.
Tough.
A tough league makes for better teams at the end of the season.
100%.
So there you go. Yep. All right, Viggs, you got anything else for us right now?
Really liked the way the power play looked this weekend. Okay. I thought Lacombe looked much more comfortable at the top of the point.
My snake Hobie pick.
With a guy like Jackson Lacombe, you got to remember he didn't play a lot of defense growing up. So he's needed that time to mature. And I thought he looked really good on that unit with Cooley, Snuggerud, Nyes, and Nelson. I thought that was good. And I also thought Kester looked really good running the top of his unit. I'm not sure who's going to, fill out the rest of that second power play yet. It's hard to tell how Huglin's going to look there, how Brodzinski's going to fit in. Are there other young guys like Brody Lamb who could fit in? I thought he had a great opening weekend for the Gophers, which was surprising to me. I know he played on a Green Bay team that wasn't very good, but he still produced points. So you just wonder what his play was going to be like with the Gophers. Early returns, looks like a good fit.
Really good.
So I think there's a lot of exciting things to take out of the opening weekend.
Agreed.
All right. Well, Pat, thanks for joining us again.
Hey guys, when I got the call, I was like, wow, I better be back again.
Well, of course.
If not, I'm going to look for you guys in the
You're a regular.
You got it?
Viggs, you coming on Friday, Viggs?
Sure am. I got to make it into a hockey rink every night this week, so let's go.
Stay away from my notes.
You better protect him better.
Thanks, guys.
Protect him better.
I appreciate it. Good to see you.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this GPL podcast. Since the team is off next week, we'll be off as well. So tune in 2 weeks as we recap this Minnesota State series and preview the North Dakota series with our guest, Brad Schlossman. For those of you watching live, stay tuned for a bit of overtime. For the rest of you, we'll see you next time on the GPL podcast.
quick hook on Micheletti there, apparently. So this, I'm very excited. This is from Lupulin Brewing. And this is because I was late to the show, I think by about 7 minutes, I had to bump up my normal 5% ABV beer to a 12% ABV beer. This is an Imperial Stout aged in Heaven Hill and Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels from Lupulin. It's fancy. It's got such a fancy name, I can't even tell exactly what it is yet. But look at that can.
Very nice can.
Yeah. So
very nice. I don't know what happened to Pat, folks. He just up and left. A lot of times it's late. And a lot of times I think his phone is running out of power.
Could be. It was fun to have him on.
It's always good to have him on.
I think if we're gonna have him back, we gotta have him guarantee overtime.
Go. Pat will just go.
So I think if he's coming back, we got to guarantee overtime for him to make a return.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. Sorry, Mote. I mentioned that overtime to him during the warm up.
He knows it's a thing.
I know, but hey, it's Pat Micheletti. He can do what he wants.
Yep.
And let me tell you how close Viggs was, folks. I started the show, and Viggs still wasn't online yet. All of a sudden, there he is. I'm like, ooh, good timing. So we started the show the way we wanted to. It worked out, Viggs.
Yeah, I had a little crazy night. I had my squirt team over at the Parade Studio Rink.
Okay.
Which is kind of on the other side of town from Northeast. So I had to get back. I had to make sure all the kids got their rides home. And then, my kids had a Yom Kippur day off of school because it's, the Day of Atonement for the Jewish people. So the school respects that and had the day off. So my kids slept in a little bit today.
Ooh.
So it's just, chaos in my household tonight. So yes, Brent, this beer is a little rich for me, but it's good.
Pat bouncing right at the buzzer actually makes him look even more legendary. I must say the best legendary overtime moment starting off, Ben Holden just lighting up the heater. Just lighting up right away, big puffs of smoke everywhere. That's legendary right there.
This gal just hanging out in the background.
Yeah, they were just hanging out.
Yep. I was like,
And Ben Holden was interested in the Gopher job. He just, they're not going to pay to have him come in every week or whatever. So, he's got to fly in from Michigan. It's a big expense. I know Pat was even mentioning that Jim Rich turned it down.
Husky loyalist.
Well, yeah, but, it's just how it turns out. And then, I forget his last name. It's Sam, isn't it? I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet because obviously BTN Plus kind of failed us on Sunday. From what I hear, people said he did just fine. Maybe he missed a couple names, but the only television he's ever done, from what I was told, was some cable access. So to be able to come into a regional TV and be able to do a broadcast.
Well, he did St. Thomas hockey last year, so he had some of that background. But yeah, he had
really. Also jump to Bally Sports is not a small leap.
It's not a small leap, and I know that they were interviewing candidates the week of the game. So, as we all know, Bally's is kind of flying by the.
Saying he knew like last Monday or Tuesday or something like he knew like so.
Well, I think on Tuesday they figured it out because Scott Slarks, the new SID for hockey, is just like, I think it's Sam. I haven't seen a release yet, but I think it's him. And of course Jess is like, right away getting the news from McHatton, and he's like, oh yeah, let's get that out there. So
he can have that. I had it that Charlie left. Charlie was so kind enough to send an email to me and let me know personally that he was getting out of the business. It was really great of him to do because he really appreciated, coming on the podcast when he first was introduced. So I like Charlie. I think he did a great job. I think Charlie kind of sees what's happening at Bally's right now. It's probably a good time to get out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be crazy for, I'd say, the next couple of years. I mean, we've heard about those other leagues possibly trying to buy those regional networks, but it's going to be crazy for a couple of years. And like I said, we don't have a TV schedule, and you could ask Pat. Pat doesn't know the schedule either, and he's going to be doing some stuff for BTN this year, and
I think we'll get Pat on the radio a lot this year with Frank and Wally, so that'll be good.
Yeah, and usually he does one game a weekend, and he did both last weekend, and he said he's going to Mankato, so I'm looking forward to Mankato. It's one of my favorite road trips, just because it's close. It's not much further than Mariucci for me, so
yeah,
hard to complain.
Well, it should be a great series, great atmosphere this weekend. Unfortunately, I don't know how much the atmosphere will be like at Mariucci.
Why aren't they selling this game more? I know they're doing some kind of pregame stuff, but how about selling tickets? There's no football this weekend. None.
Don't you think this series should sell itself a little bit? If you're a Gopher hockey fan,
you're preaching.
Shouldn't you know that this is a big game? It's not like the tickets are $80.
We've been trying to solve this for years, Viggs.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think $45 is too much for this game. I know some people do. Because like the Michigan game, tickets were still like $35-$40 for the Big Ten championship. It's not like they were 10, right?
Yeah.
There's just a lot going on right now.
I wish the team would have performed that night, because boy, that was quite the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that ended up being the biggest crowd ever at Mariucci?
Yeah.
For officially, and I know there were some section finals back in the mid 90s that where literally the fire marshal got pissed off.
Well, there were people sitting in the aisles everywhere.
That's because the students had nowhere to go.
Right.
So I was in the section right over from so they had the 5 sections of students for the Big Ten championship. I was in the next section over, right in 10 there. And the students had nowhere else to go, with a half hour before the game. They were all coming over to our section, and they all got kicked out. So they had to stand, it was crazy. Oh. Will Deutsch make an appearance this year? I think he's saving it for the book. That's what he texted us. He's like, I'm saving it for the book.
Yeah, he's moving on in a healthy way, so that's good. I know he tunes in every once in a while. I don't know if he's on overtime tonight, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't see any nasty texts. So
no, not yet.
Not yet.
Did you happen to watch availability today?
I didn't get a chance to. I was really busy.
Someone apparently thought it was funny that I was talking about the players and their reactions to playing Minnesota State last year, and did they have memories like that? And Rhett's like, nope, no memories, just going with the flow, and maybe I'll watch the game now that you mention it, but otherwise, whatever. And as he walked out, kind of Chris Long was looking at me. He's like, what was that all about it? He's like, well, some people are goldfish and some people are elephants. Goldfish, something happens right out of their head. They don't remember it at all. Some people, elephant, they remember every single thing about every little game and all the little bits and confrontations and stuff. And for me, I was a goldfish for all the peripheral stuff, and kind of an elephant for like what was right in front of me, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So like my individual matchups and battles, usually I take away a lot of that stuff, but like anything in the crowd or anything that's happening outside of my, little window, pay attention to too much.
And here's a little tip for some of those media availabilities. If it's after a game and I'm there, we do stream it here on Twitter and on YouTube. If you listen carefully, you're going to get a lot more than you thought. You'll tend to hear a lot of us media talking behind the scene. I know probably could have heard Russo last weekend on when we were doing it on Saturday when I was there. I know Jess turns off his microphone and does everything. He does it, paused in between.
He's a little more professional than you are.
Right.
Russo didn't know he had a hot mic in the room. He could get in trouble.
I don't know if people could hear him, but this is why we say this in overtime, because there wasn't many people watching live,
right?
And then when I put it back to get the video back together and posted the video, I just posted the actual interviews. And
clean it up.
But if you listen closely, you tend to get a little more.
It's like being there.
It is.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to have Russo there. I think he's going to be trying to do a little bit more college hockey stuff because he's got a co-writer now with Joe Smith helping out with the Wild. So
doesn't want to pay you.
Doesn't want to. Well, the Athletic doesn't want to pay me. So they've tightened up their freelance budget pretty much to NBA and NFL because that's where it makes business sense.
It is.
But it's all about building an audience stuff. I know Star Tribune is having some budget issues too. Like they're not sending Randy to Mankato this weekend for the Star Trib, and they're not even sending him to Illinois for the football game. So I don't know. Support your writers that you like to read and cover the teams you like.
There's a lot of stuff going on with that. Okay. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. Okay. Jess said to me in the press box, and he's like, I think I've had 2 people be nice to me in text today. I'm like, wow.
Some people are jealous that Mel reached out to Jess or Jess.
They're good friends.
One of the two, because Mel was in town for the NHL prospects event at Super Rink, and Jess knew that. So why not have it out there? I mean, I still think Mel doesn't understand why he was fired.
I don't think so either.
Because it's not about Steve Shields. It's not about Strauss-Mann. That's not what this is about. This is about Bancroft being unchecked for years and for Mel not being viewed as credible by the university. When you're being investigated by the university, you should be truthful in that situation. And I don't know if he was. And I think no better example than the GLI stuff, where he wasn't being truthful about his perspective and his interests on the whole deal. I mean, who really cares if Mel says, yeah, I don't want to play Western Michigan while my guys are at World Juniors. I just don't want to. It's not good for us. That's what everybody took away from it. Right? It's pretty obvious. Just tell the truth.
It's always that way, isn't it, Brever? Cover up is worse than the crime. I don't know.
Yeah, Tim's right. Just trying to start the goalie controversy. He didn't start the Stodiker controversy, though. I just kind of asked, what's he doing with the defense instead? And he said, they're going to play 7. They're all going to play. He didn't give any kind of indication that Stodiker is going to play this weekend, but he's healthy. He's just not as talented as the other 7 guys.
So they're going to play all 7. So guys are going to have different partners all the time. It's not going to stay that way the entire year, will it? Or will he settle on something comes January?
I think until guys start playing themselves out of the rotation, they're going to get chances. He said, if week 1, we're basically playing 4 lines, rotating 7D, doing 3 power plays, doing, a bunch of different guys on the penalty kill, that's week 1. This week, you got to perform to keep your spot. So if someone has a bad shift, they will be out of the rotation, I think, for a little bit in a game like this. Who's going to shine? Because it took, Middleset and Thomas needed a couple shifts on Saturday before they found their legs. They were a little antsy on the puck. They were a little slow on their reads. They're waiting for everything to be perfect. You just got to go. I'm just gonna let that one go, Corey. Don't blame that on the Night Witch.
Oh boy, God, I had another.
But by the way,
another thought going around my head, and I forgot.
Back to Eric here. He's like, but Mel says I was really looking forward to playing Western Michigan this year with his full lineup. Of course he was. I mean, I think all these teams know that those games after the World Juniors are tough for programs like Minnesota and Michigan. I think the Gophers playing St. Cloud at that time of this, this year is going to be a challenge for Minnesota. And I don't think it's going to be as big of a challenge for St. Cloud. I don't think they have World Junior candidates on their team this year, but it makes a big difference for Minnesota when they're going to be losing Cooley, Snuggerud, Chesley.
So what are the dates this year for the juniors?
I think it's back to standard. So it's like going to be camp starting around the 20th, and they'll be there until like the 6th or something like that.
Yeah, because it is January 7th and 8th.
Yep.
So
there's that chance that they're back for the second game, but I mean,
yeah,
that's never a great situation. Maybe for guys like Cooley and Snuggerud, it's okay.
But it's like, would Bob even play him when he knows he's got Notre Dame the next week?
Right. And he's got to have that relationship with a player, I think, too, to know what kind of guy he's dealing with. When you got like a guy like Ryan Lindgren coming back, you're just like, oh yeah, he's a battler. He's going to play. But yeah, because the gold medal game this year is going to be January 5th.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a chance.
January.
It's in Canada this year, so it's not a huge flight. So it will be discussed, I bet. It'll be the fun media question on Wednesday, availability ahead of the game.
Yeah. I'm just kind of interested to see where Mankato's at right now. I mean, yes, it was an exhibition, but
still,
that's still not good. It's still not good for an exhibition to give up that many goals.
Yeah, Omaha's not exactly the cream of the NCHC. I mean, I like what Mike Gabinet's doing there. He's a nice guy, and he's been there a while. But I don't think they were picked to finish in the top 4 of that league.
How much does the WCHA or CCHA hurt Mankato? Because obviously they've been in a league that's been pretty down, and obviously they've had like 20 more victories than any other team these last 10 years because of it. They're way up on how many wins they have. But does it hurt them come tournament time? I mean, not against Minnesota, but does it hurt them?
I think it definitely hurts them come tournament time. And they've proven it. Until this last year, they had trouble winning a game in the tournament.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the last 2 years they finally won, yeah.
They finally have won some games. And, they've given away some games in the NCAA tournament because, like Pat was saying, when they get uncomfortable, it shows. Like, it's pretty obvious when they get uncomfortable and things start to unravel. And it's just fascinating from my perspective to see that happen because you see a team that's usually so buttoned up, especially against the Gophers. I don't think they lose that kind of focus because it's just so much hate.
Yeah, but the national championship game?
Yeah. Well, especially the national championship game.
You can't lose focus there.
Well, they did.
Oh, yeah.
They lost it against Providence. They've lost it before in all those other games they lost. When they were the number 1 overall seed, I think, and they lost in Sioux Falls to AIC. I think.
No, I think it was St. Cloud who lost to AIC.
Oh, yeah. But I feel like Minnesota State lost another game like that too. So anyway, I digress.
Air Force. Was it Air Force?
Air Force. I think it was Air Force. I think that's right.
Because that was that regional Air Force, Mankato. Was it St. Cloud and Duluth? That was the year that Minnesota lost by .001 to Duluth to get into the tournament.
Right. But I don't think they lose that focus against Minnesota. So
Gator. I heard they're kicking them off right away. They get off the ice.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't know why players feel the need to push the limits on everything, on that stuff. Just get off. It doesn't.
And they can't be on before the game either.
Right.
A lot of times you'd see guys go out there standing in their slippers and just, get their wrists going on the ice.
Go to the shooting room.
Or we've seen them play football out there before.
Yeah. Just, it makes things harder on everybody else when you have players doing that. So just, I don't understand why it was such a big deal, because it's really annoying for like the rink guy to be like, hey, I need you to get off, or I need to do something. You're on the ice. That's a really uncomfortable conversation for any rink person. You know, I've seen Zamboni drivers like, oh, your ice time was up a minute ago, but you're still talking. Can I open the door yet? Yes, open the door. Get the kids off the ice, you know. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's silly when people push the
I
button
didn't
there.
know that. Opening face-off, UMD ASU 4-on-4. So they called penalties before the game.
Yes.
Wow.
Good. Good. Send the message.
Did we fix the Zamboni yet? I did notice they had one Zamboni out before the game on Saturday. There was just one guy cleaning the ice. I thought there was two later on. They have three of them down there. So
you just got to get them in the you got to play
the
cup
I
game.
mean, there's three down there for
spots.
in case I mean, usually two goes to one, and they have one back up. And obviously, if they're both playing, because obviously the women will be playing as well Friday night as the men. So I don't know. I didn't know there was a broken one. Maybe there was.
I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to read Pat's notes.
Oh,
it's funny though that Pat and I see that exactly the same.
no, I was reading this big.
Oh yeah,
Sammy scored 2 goals to Iowa tonight.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that note. I'm gonna have to look up and see this power play goal and see how he scored it. I mean, was it like an empty netter? Was it was it a skill play? Was it random?
Go, Sammy Walker. All right.
Yep.
Wow.
It probably wasn't a one-timer. Yeah, that Sammy joke has now traveled the media now. People come up and be like, I don't think Sammy's going to come on your podcast now. And it's like, yeah, good luck to him. I like the kid. I just don't like the game.
He was a great kid.
Great kid. I get frustrated with players who don't learn. Like all that talent, all that skill. Put on some size. I mean, Wes Walls is like Sammy Walker, but Wes put on like 15, 20 pounds and became a career NHLer killing penalties. That's Sammy. If Sammy would have lifted with Cal Dietz and put on the size over his 4 years at the U or whatever, he would have been in position to go be an NHL penalty killer. So great speed, great transition. Freshman year was his best year. Like he was so hungry for the puck. Just a great back checker. We just lost that after that year. So when he got the C on the jersey. That was kind of an uncomfortable conversation there with Pat, wasn't it? About the C and the letter, and you get it and you're not sure what to do with it. Brock knows what to do. Brock's gonna wear that thing great this year. Gophers are in good hands with him.
I like that he's vocal. I
mean, you can't not respect the guy. He's a World Junior veteran. He's an Olympic veteran. Could have turned pro. He's going to be playing for the Wild. He doesn't do much wrong anywhere in life. That's a pretty good guy to have on your team telling you what to do.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Hold on a second. Okay, here you go. Mechanical issue on the Zamboni on Saturday in the first lap, fixed during the first period. So the other Zamboni is okay. Craig Floor, he loves watching this podcast just to correct us and keep us straight on things like this that the media doesn't report.
We were just too busy getting to see everybody. I saw Chris Cords, the academic guy for the U. Yeah. At the game on Saturday, caught up with him. He's moved to Bloomington.
Rovnak was there. That was great. I hadn't seen him in quite a while.
Well, he's making sure Scott's not going to get too starry-eyed out there and
he was
and do his job.
He was definitely chaperoning.
Yeah, it was kind of a shadow chaperone kind of thing going on there with Paul. I get the sense Paul would like to be around the rink more, but PJ's got a lot going on.
That football's got to be so much. I mean, it's just the game was earlier in the day. It's like, well, spend a couple more hours down here.
Sorry, honey. Guess I'm not coming home. I'm going to be at the rink.
Are NHL alums doing anything NIL related for current team?
The only NIL stuff I know that's going on so far is Logan Cooley has the Chipotle deal because Chipotle is a big sponsor for USA Hockey. And so they went after Cooley because he was third overall pick and he's kind of flashy. Matthew Nyes.
We really hope he doesn't eat before a game.
They get good food. And then Matthew Nyes is a CCM sponsored athlete. So I haven't figured out what that means. I was trying to ask him about that today, but it wasn't really the right time.
What's their gear?
The U is CCM.
Okay.
So like the U already buys CCM stuff for other things, but I think maybe some more custom-y skates and stuff like that, and maybe some apparel and maybe some extra stuff. Okay, I guess Noe says War Road apparel too. So we'll see. And I know Nyes did the hockey camp and Walker did the hockey camp.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Oh, by the way, I got clarification on Paul Martin's role with the team.
Ooh.
He is a student manager. So I don't know how many student managers.
Does that technically mean he's supposed to be filling the water bottles?
Right. I don't know how many student managers get to put on the skates and go out there and push pucks around during practice, but Paul's the one. Because he can't be a graduate assistant because he's already done it for 2 years, and you're only allowed 2 years of being a graduate assistant.
Page then.
So
he is what is his technical? What is his again?
Graduate manager.
A graduate
manager.
Manager.
Just like a student manager, except he's a graduate student. So he's a graduate manager because he is still finishing up his youth programs masters.
Gotcha. Let me see if I can.
So probably the best student manager in the country. I mean, if we're going to rank them, like if Corey Pronman ranks the best student managers in the country, Paul's got to be up there.
So I'm going to call him. He was graduate assistant coach.
Now he's graduate manager.
Hitting GPL as we speak.
Yep. I mean, it's great for him to be back, with this decor that's apparently complexity forced upon them. Can you imagine going out with a different partner every time? That's what they're going to be doing for a while. Oh, God. Russo. 2 goals from Sammy Walker, including the overtime winner blazing down the right side in Iowa's 2-1 preseason win over Rockford. Oh, CJ Fogler, too soon.
You're going to eat your words now, Viggs.
I'm sure he wasn't playing center. Come on, it's the running joke now. I got to embrace it.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only gopher player I've really gone after in like 15 years. So give me a break, everyone. Right?
They needed a whipping boy.
I did enjoy. It was a D Dillon 22 who wrote the long post about what's going to happen this season on GPL.
Oh yeah.
He's like, who's going to be the whipping boy? Staudiker because he can't get in the lineup, and Brodzinski because he only has 10 goals in 10 games, but all he does is shoot. That was pretty good message board parody there.
Yeah, Schlossman's. Oh, I should be running that. Yeah, Schlossman's our next guest, by the way.
Yeah, he's excited. I got to see him at NCHC Media Day.
Yeah.
Yep, we got to talk some pickleball.
I gotta play that. I played it once. I liked it. I want to play it more.
Make sure to stretch first. I've heard a lot of people getting injured.
I'm actually. I've only played it, but I'm pretty good at badminton. I would love to do badminton.
That's right, Mote. Did out of love. Wanted to see the best out of Sammy. He was disappointing me.
He didn't grow.
Didn't grow.
He didn't grow. He didn't adjust. And like you said, the last he get that first playoff point. He got his first a power play
point. Yep.
Against Penn State in the
Michigan State.
I thought it was Penn State.
It was Michigan State. The goalie slid across, expecting a one-timer.
That's right, yeah.
And Walker mishandled the pass.
That's right.
And then he shelved it because the goalie was down and be like, you got me. You didn't shoot it right away. Sammy can shoot. So.
Oh, boy.
Do you think Justin Banks is still listening to the podcast? Because he's asking where we are at with the Shrink the Ice Sheet on Twitter. And I love to reinforce our Twitter followers just as much as their chat. And we're full speed ahead for next year. So expect everything next year. I still don't know.
Are we full speed ahead for next year?
Well, the Regents approved the money and they're planning for it.
I think our delay is about 20 seconds. So I need about a text from Craig Floor. Are we full? In about 20 seconds. See if Craig Floor is still watching.
I think they're still debating what's going to happen with the seating things that they're proposing.
Yeah, because they would cut quite a few seats.
Not quite a few, but if they're going to have the extra space, they're going to try to do some cool things with premium seating.
On the end, and some of those proposals, it looked like on the end they were going to bring it out so people kind of looking over the fans more.
Yep,
and take it about first 5-10 rows or something like that on the east end of the arena.
Mm-hmm. So I'll be interested to see what they actually go with in the end. But premium seating's
so they're doing are they doing the ice? It looks like they're doing the ice at Ritter as well.
Yep.
So he just says rink part. And Ritter. Craig Floor, you should just come on the podcast.
Here's the thing. I think they are planning on having Ritter be available next season during the summer. So I think it's kind of a two-phased approach. Like they're going to redo Mariucci first and do all the piping so that they can redo Ritter, and then the next year redo Ritter. But there's lighting changes coming. There's audio changes coming. There's a second phase that's going to update
seating
the
concourse stuff is phase 2.
Yes.
After seating. Ritter in summer of 2024.
Yeah. So there are 2 phases to this. We've got some of the documents. I'm just trying to get some quotes on things from people in the know who can actually talk about it.
I just said
Craig Floor.
I just sent Craig Floor a link. Let's see if he's brave enough to click on it.
Doesn't know you. I don't think any upgrades are happening to the scoreboard, Eric. Although Huntington Bank does need a scoreboard upgrade because I could see issues with it last week against Purdue.
I heard they were going to be doing that. Yeah,
there's little
they last 10 years or something like that,
and it's breaking. There's things happening this year that are broken. Yeah. So
Craig says you know more than he does.
I know a few documents and a few people to talk to. I need some people to talk on record. Saw Tom McGinnis at the rink this weekend. That was great. The assistant AD. I thought he might get the AD job at Duluth, but they went another way.
Okay, I'm tall guy, dark hair.
Yeah,
I see. I can never.
Used to be chair of the D1 men's ice hockey committee.
Because I'm at that so many times too.
Yeah, could never get that change made to the tournament format. But by the way, David Carl, the Denver coach, totally on board with my idea for changing the NCAA tournament. He's like, yeah, I want campus sites, first round, high seed hosts, could even be a best of 3. I'd like that. Next week, super regional, play those games. Week after that, Frozen 4, no more bye week. You play 3 weekends in a row. You reward the teams that play well, and you get nice rinks for the super regional and the Frozen 4.
And you shorten the season because that's even longer season.
No, it's not, because they already take a bye week. You just get rid of the bye week in the playoffs.
The season is so long.
I'm fine with the season finishing in April. It's fine.
No, I'm with you there, but
I like the winter break because of World Juniors. I think that makes sense for everybody. But I'd love a 3-week NCAA's campus sites, reward the high seeds. You know, your top 8 teams in the country get a home game or 3 or 2, whatever it is. And then you have a super regional at a nice rink in the West and a nice rink in the East. Fans just have to travel maybe 1 week to that super regional, and your Frozen Four crowd is already accounted for every year. Like the people who go to the Frozen Four go kind of regardless whether a team makes it or not. So the travel week would be that super regional. Super regional will be 2 different sites. There'd be a West and an East. How awesome would that be, though?
Good luck getting the little schools to do it.
I know, and that's what who was telling me that? It was off the record, but he basically said that you have these coaches who have never been to the NCAA tournament. I won't say who told me this, but they are voicing their opinion on what should happen with the NCAA's.
Craig Lore.
That's a lot of coolers.
That's his garage, man. That's his office in his garage, isn't it, Craig? He doesn't have a microphone. We can't hear you, man. Oh, jeez. Can't hear you. Can you hear us?
He might have to allow the mic to have access.
He might, yeah. Oh, there. No, you don't have your microphone set up, dude. Oh, you got to put on the glasses.
Cheaters.
Craig Floor.
Yeah,
there he is.
Yeah, if you go to the settings and audio, you can test your. No, nothing.
Yeah,
this guy is a legend. I saw a picture of him. He's worked in the ice arena business for what, 30 years? I mean,
yeah. And now we can just sit here and make fun of him because he can't figure out
the working now.
Oh,
yeah,
there he is.
Yeah. Does that work?
That we hear you, man. How you doing?
Wow, cool. Adequate. How are you guys?
We're doing good, man. Nice to have you on overtime, man.
Do you do a lot of these in your garage with that tenting behind you there?
His garage is a party garage, man. Fully insulated, fully heated.
Host karaoke night. You come out from behind the curtains.
It's piping great. It's to get that black background behind there. So, yeah.
And where's your lovely wife this evening?
In the house somewhere. I have no idea.
Oh, jeez.
I've been out here working on Cub Scout stuff and different things, and then I all of a sudden peruse and see you guys are on, and
of course we always start talking about Mariucci, and
yeah,
so
I have to chime in.
So it's what it's a two-phase thing. So the ice is next year, but like Vig said, how do they got to do? Do they kind of have to do Ritter and Mariucci different years for the actual ice so they can keep one open?
Yeah. So right now they're separate plants. So we're building a big enough plant in Mariucci that'll run both rinks. So then we'll just do the piping almost to Ritter Arena. Then we'll tear out Ritter in 24 and then tie it all together and be ready to go. So that'll be a lot shorter project, easier, hopefully easier and faster. So, yeah.
See, Jupe, I kind of knew what I was talking about.
Well, of course you did, because you sneak and you steal every document you can or find on the server at the U.
I know how to sneak.
But you also work at the U.
You also know how to ask a few questions, too, when I see you, and it verifies what you're looking at.
I just want to double check. Oh, I want to double check for accuracy. So,
I appreciate using your tickets this weekend.
Very good.
It
should be fun.
But I got some friends that's going to be using them that they very much appreciate it. So
my daughter has tryouts, so my family couldn't go. So,
and we know you'll be there. You're always there.
Yeah, you got the big banner raising next door on Friday.
What for this time? They didn't win the national championship.
Same thing the guys raised a banner for during North Dakota.
Oh.
League champion last year.
Okay. So. Do you have the ring on? Where's the ring?
No, I left it in my office.
Okay, folks. I see Craig the first time this year, and he's wearing a gigantic Super Bowl sized ring for the Big Ten championship.
It is the Big Ten. It is the Big Ten.
It is the Big Ten. It was, but that is by far the largest one. I've been very fortunate to be on the list all the years the men's and women's teams have won. So it's very cool. But that one is huge, Craig. It's unreal.
It is.
It's crazy.
It's basically, it's like it's almost a Super Bowl sized ring. It's ridiculous.
The taxes you had to pay on that thing, I'm sure were.
Yeah, I don't even look, Beeks. I don't even look.
It's like, why is my paycheck so short this week?
Kids are wondering why we're eating ramen noodles this week, and
yeah. Let's go in the deep freeze. Let's see what we got in here. We got some venison from 01. That's probably from January.
So for those of you who may not know who Craig Floor is, Craig, tell us who you are and what you do, besides being the Craig Floor.
Oh, Jesus. I'm just the rink guy at 3M Arena at Mariucci and Ritter Arenas. So I've been the manager
just
there.
The rink guy.
I've been there for a few years. I started in January of 1997.
Oh, jeez, 97.
Yep. 26th season.
It's going to be 30 years for Mariucci next year, won't it?
August, you bet. Yep.
New year, new size rink down there.
You bet. It'll be fun.
Just think how many things in your house have lasted 30 years, for all the people listening, and there's a little bit of deferred maintenance happening.
Oh yeah.
Around the
we're not even half of what the rest of campus is, Beeks.
I'm very familiar with Hepper Fondine and the university as a whole. We are very good at the U at building new shiny stuff. We are horrible at maintaining buildings.
Yep.
So,
well, what can you do? Oh, here we go. That's a good question. Tell us about the Dirty Jobs episode.
What about it? It was cool. It was one of my favorite days. So Schindler Elevator, which is the contractor we have in athletics or the university, part of the university, and they got contacted by Dirty Jobs to find a location to do an episode, because you get into maintaining escalators and elevators, it's a dirty job, right? And closed quarters and that kind of stuff. So they were trying to look at doing it at Huntington Bank Stadium, but they had an event and a couple different things. So then the Schindler guys called me and said, "What do you got going?" And I said, "Nothing. Come on over." And so the university figured it out in about a week and a half, and they came in and did the job. It was great. It was kind of fun to watch. They literally do it in less than a day. The camera crew came in the day before, not even to set up anything, just to look at the site. And then literally Mike Rowe comes in that morning and they start rolling, and they're just doing the job all day long. There's no retakes other than some of the teasers they do way when the day's over. Then they'll do all their teases for the commercials and stuff, but they were doing a bunch of those kind of screwing around. But otherwise doing that job and rebuilding escalator in and out. And it was pretty cool. It's kind of fun.
Non-hockey question.
Yeah.
Are you still out on the lake?
I got to take Docs out on Saturday, so I haven't been out on the lake for 2 weekends. But yeah, now the water's getting cold.
You try to barefoot ski until it's frozen, basically.
I'd like to, but the hardest part is it's so cold, your feet get numb, and then you can't tell what you're doing, and then that fall is really bad. Because in the summer you can feel where your feet are, what you're doing, but you start getting numb on your feet, it's bad. It's not good. Not good.
I've water skied once in my life. That's it.
Barefooting is so much easier than water skiing. It's less work.
I've got the worst feet ever. I could never do that.
It's fun.
Is it hard on your feet?
Can be.
Can be.
Hit a fish.
Oh yeah, you don't want to catch a fin. Oh, that could hurt.
Yeah, I got caught by a fish once. That's the worst that's ever happened. But, but otherwise, it doesn't really hurt, Beeks. It's
okay
if you're gliding the right way. It doesn't hurt. So
I don't always glide the best of my ice skates.
So yeah.
What's all that noise? Oh, it's Vigo's inside edge.
Scraping along.
Nice.
So, there you go.
Not bad. Not
There
bad.
you
I
go.
know. I've seen some of those stuff. Jeez, I think you're crazy, but
Just try not to fall.
try not to fall. You know how much gravity I have? It's pulling down on me.
You're not much different than my gravity. I probably got more gravity than you do, my friend.
Yeah, but still, I would go down like a big pancake.
Yeah.
All the water gone. Oh, I splashed it all out. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh boy.
So did you try to fix the Zambonis during the weekend, or are you just going to shelve that for
what? No, they're fixed.
They're fixed. They're good.
Yeah. It was just it's a minor thing that he just couldn't do what he needed to do at that moment. So, yeah.
Was that correct? You do have 3 Zambonis for both.
We do have 3, yes. Yep.
That's what I thought.
When I was driving the Zam at Drake Arena one time in St. Paul, the hydraulic fluid burst on the ice.
It bled all over the ice.
Looked like the Zamboni got a bleeder and bled all over the ice and melted a bunch of the ice. And we were just like calling the rink guy and just like, yeah, there's a bunch of red stuff on the ice.
Yeah.
And the Zamboni doesn't seem to work.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Broke a Zamboni.
Nice.
Well, the Zamboni broke. It's not me.
Been any? Well, I guess there's no trips to McDonald's in a Zamboni recently, but
no,
they haven't snuck out and driven around the neighborhood, have they?
No. And that McDonald's thing from years ago, that was to be in the homecoming parade.
That's, I mean, come on. I mean, basically what the kids did is, what was it, before or after the parade, they went through the drive-through at McDonald's with a Zamboni?
That was before, yeah. I got pictures of it. I followed him.
Oh.
I followed him to help him. I heard him talking about it, and I'm like, I'm following you to the McDonald's, so be sure to wait for me before you get there.
Oh, my gosh.
You can always pay for the people behind you, too. Don't worry about it.
The look of those people's faces, that must have been just
great.
Oh, my goodness.
That was a long time ago, though. So.
Yeah, you get in big trouble now. Bad Craig Floor allowing that to happen.
Who would be in trouble?
I don't know. Nobody saw it. Nobody did it, I guess.
I saw it. Told them to do it. No big deal.
Now you can't even go to that McDonald's anymore.
It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
A new one there, or is it just
No.
I don't think that's gonna ever. I don't think there. I haven't heard what's going in there, but I don't think.
I'm still waiting for Village Walk. They said they were going to be back.
Yeah.
Everything is down there is expensive apartments now.
Yeah.
Condo or whatever, and I had a friend, the friend who's using your tickets, and she's like, "Where should we go eat before the game?" I'm like, "The choice
Blue Door Pub. Go to the Blue Door Pub."
Yeah, but
they were on Big Ten tailgate the other day.
There and go and then I mean, it's like Stub and Erms, Sally's. I mean, there's not many places where you can just park in the U parking and go eat.
Yeah.
Whereas like Mankato and Duluth, it's pretty nice. There's plenty of places to go. And it seems like, the whole U area, they just keep putting in more apartments instead of a decent place to eat.
It's not the U's planning. They're trying to buy up that East Gateway as much as they can. And there's a plan to expand campus into those places and be intentional about it. But it's some of the purchase prices for properties in that area when they do buy them, you're just like, wow. They know that the U wants that property and will pay what it costs for them to acquire it.
Well, I'm glad we still have Maxwell's over there in Washington. Get off the U and stay up late and cause a lot of trouble. So,
is there a Maxwell outing on Friday night?
I don't know. There was last Saturday or Sunday night.
Could make it Sunday.
I know. It was a school night. It was tough. It was a school night.
That's why I didn't go out. That's why I was going to watch a BTN Plus, and then it wasn't on. Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Budget.
It's called The Extra, by the way.
No. It was supposed to be on BTN Plus.
Oh, BTS.
The streaming.
The
Oh, the
streaming.
streaming. Yeah.
I don't have Bally's anymore.
Bally's,
But
yeah,
the-
we don't have Bally's either. So,
But the Big Ten Network apparently didn't have a subscription to the Bally's channel.
Oh, yeah.
And so the person couldn't just like use their credit card and sign up for the free 7-day trial and then use that streaming option.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not a problem solver like I am.
Wow. Yeah. Bally's extra.
Yeah, Bally's extra. You got to pay extra for that.
BTN Plus. I got to,
BTN,
BSN and BTN.
They figured it out Saturday.
Yeah.
I think we can blame Bally's for all that drama more than Big Ten, right? No?
Bally's is a mess.
Bally's is a little bit of a
I'm
mess.
just gonna keep saying it. They're a mess. It's getting worse. It was funny because they had, over in the booth. I mean, Vindovic was over there. Jim Pellinger, I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Pellinger was over there. Yep.
Charlie was over there for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah, I saw him that morning, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" So
it was nice to see him because, like I had said, it had been 5 years since he had been in Mariucci.
Yep.
Who knows where this TV stuff's going?
Don't know.
But the thing is, folks, Craig's the manager of the rink, and he knows less than we do.
Sometimes.
I mean,
TV schedule's supposed to be
TV, well, especially when it came to it was like the week of or the week before you knew the times of the games in the arena you manage.
It's really easy for staffing and concession
I
stands.
Yeah, no kidding, right? It's like, well, I mean, selling ice time.
You expect it when playoff time. If you don't know that you're gonna maybe make a game or that kind of stuff, but you have to know the days and times. But yeah, it's still goofy. But oh well. Big Ten basketball. They rule the world.
No, they do.
And now wrestling and volleyball too as well.
Yep.
They're just as significant as hockey in Big Ten's mind.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right, guys, I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
But Craig, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks
no
for
problem.
watching
debut.
It took me a while. You texted me that, and then I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it with my iPhone.
Your iPhone works pretty well because it's got a great camera.
I know, but then I'd be like not being able to hold it very well. I didn't know where I was going to set it. So,
Viggs upgraded his camera this year. It looks really great, Viggs.
Yeah, thanks. We'll get you the Murray's butter knife steak gift card at some point down the road.
Yeah, right.
Well, thanks for coming on, Craig.
No
Thanks,
I'll see you guys at the
listening.
rink on Friday.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see you at the rink on Friday, Craig.
Make sure that post stays in for the new Mankato goalie. We don't know if he's a slider or not.
Yeah. Lad never figured it out.
Oh, boy.
So, all right. Very good.
All right.
Bye, folks. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Or not next week. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right. Ending broadcast now.